Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast between um, jafnharr or jafnharr. I'm sorry, English is my first language, but I do not know how to say that name. Jafnharr. So jafnharr versus Crota here on Scrap Station. I am spawning down over here at the 3 o'clock location. Jaff now spawning as the blue Protoss player at the 12 o'clock position. So this is going to in fact be a Protoss mirror match. Now Protoss mirror is very, very important to note that the standard game seems to revolve around zealots, sentries, and then teching to perhaps stalkers and immortals. And the stalkers are really there more as a range unit, being able to shoot down perhaps void rays that come into play if your opponent tries to tech to void rays. I'm changing my strategy up just a little, trying to decide to build that pylon close to my base. By building this pylon close to my base, my probe is able to come back and mine a little bit more quickly. So that is going to give me a little bit of an economic lead, not much, but this is a game of seconds. StarCraft and StarCraft 2 is a game of seconds, so it will allow me to get my gateways down a little bit more quickly, using that chrono boost, which enables my buildings to operate with a 50% and boost while under that effect of that chrono boost, which is sitting right there. Now a probe once again moving out, so probe moving out in order to scout. Jaff now also getting that gateway as well, so gateway going down, both of us pretty much doing that standard build. Now in a mirror match of Protoss, excuse me, you really want to make sure that if your opponent goes for additional gateways, you need to get an additional gateway as well. Otherwise, if he starts massing and you're still teching, you're going to have a larger number of zealots in your base or stalkers in your base, and you will not be able to recover in time as you spend additional minerals on perhaps a robotics facility or Twilight Council. That could have been an additional 1, 2, perhaps even 3 additional zealots trying to fight back. So a 5 versus 2 zealot fight versus instead of a 4 versus 5. I quickly see that he does in fact have a secondary gateway going in, so I'm going to be forced to build a secondary gateway as well, along with my cybernetics core. I'm still running around over here with this single probe. Probe just shift click all around the map. Single pylon once again coming back in, fighting back right here, and I do not know why this probe is currently stuck. Down it goes, so that probe gets that first kill, getting that secondary gateway right now. Just trying to mass up as many zealots as I can. I'm trying to save the chrono boost for when it is needed the most. Cybernetics core also coming into play, and I'm going to be trying to use warp gate. Now this is game 2 that I'm casting in this short 3-game set, and I'm going to be showing you, I'm going to be using a proxy pylon in just a little bit. So gateway now coming in, a secondary gateway, and I want to use a third gateway. If a Protoss player is going to be going the warp gate strategy, you want to in fact have more gateways so that the cooldown on those gateways allow you to warp in more units. 3 zealots now in play. Coming back over here, we also have a cybernetics core finally coming into play and more pylons. So taking a look at the income, 20 harvesters versus 19, both of us pretty much mining at the same exact rate. Quick probe now trying to come in. Zealots really not able to chase down that probe. That probe able to move so quickly. The zealots look a little bit confused as that probe is just able to walk away. A disruptor now, or sorry, a sentry now being brought into play. Sentry now trying to fight back against that single probe. That probe, or that sentry, however, moves a little bit more slowly than that zealot. So even though both of the movement speeds are normal, they do in fact move a little bit slower. Warp gates now being brought into play. I have 3 zealots. Taking a look at the army, my opponent, Jaff, has 600, so he has 6 zealots sitting in this position, and he is not moving them out. If he was to try to attack me right now, he would be at a definite advantage. But I do in fact have those warp gates, so I am able to warp in these units very, very quickly if I in fact need to. Now getting that 4th gateway, 4 gateways warping in 2 zealots. This gateway is going to be finished warping in just a second as well. So taking a look at these gateways, I should be able to warp in an additional stalker if I had the pylon. Now moving this probe over here, I'm going to build a proxy pylon on this high edge. What I want to do with this proxy pylon is it will enable me to, warp in units even though Jaf doesn't see this Proxy Pylon, and I can still warp onto this low ground. I see these Zealots now moving in, so I get a little bit lucky, and I'm trying to use this cooldown to the best of my ability, moving these units out. I want to see how large this attack force is, just perhaps try to test it. Once again, moving out with this probe, as I did see a very, very large number of Zealots move out. I think I can be able to just do some scouting. He is in fact building an observer in my base. Coming back over here, we have a fight off in this position, a larger number of Zealots. He has more reinforcements. I was trying to try to push back some of those Zealots, but those Zealots were not pushed back. If you cast a force field on a Zealot or any units, they are pushed either to the front or to the back side of that particular side. I now cast another force field on that back side in order to try to disrupt any retreats. And now he's trying to force down my one sentry on that backhand side. Only has one single Zealot in play, warping in some more Zealots, trying to get as many units as I possibly can. Gonna bring in some probes, but things not looking good for me. Zealots now once again trying to push to the back. He's gonna go ahead and lose this final Zealot. Taking a look at the income, I'm sitting on 21 to his 24, so things not looking good for me. I'm sitting on 29 food compared to his 41. He also has a much larger army. An observer now moving out, the observer coming out, and now immortals coming into play. Taking a look back at my base, I do in fact have a robotics facility, and I am trying to get the weapons upgrade from my forge. I should probably be using that chrono boost on that forge in order to speed up that collection. Coming back over here though, I was in fact able to morph and warp in some stalkers and some zealots, so those 4 gateways enabling me to push out a very, very large army. So coming over here, you see that I have an 800 food army compared to his, or 800 mineral army compared to his 875, and I will in fact be able to get a lot of get very many reinforcements. It's like I'm playing right outside my base. Zealots now trying to push in, and those Zealots are going to be, those Immortals are going to be pushing in. I'm going to try to cast in a force field, trying to push back those Immortals. So one of those Immortals just pretty much stuck in that position, trying to fight back. Another Immortal coming back. I'm going to go ahead and move back out and then warp in more units here. There is smoke here, so he does not realize that I have this pylon here. He just sees that there's more units, able to get down another force field. So I'm able to once again focus down this last Immortal, as that Immortal really has no place to go. And once again, I'm going to move up with this army. With those use of those force fields from those sentries, I have in fact been able to get a very, very nice lead. I'm now trying to push in pressure on these units. Probes now coming up. I need to come up this ramp in order to fight even more, and I'm trying to make those probes come at me in a single file line. If I can make those probes come at me in a single file line, I'm going to really just disrupt how much damage they can deal. Those Immortals trying to shoot down these sentries, not a very smart choice, as those Immortals and should be trying to focus down those Stalkers, as those are in fact armored units. More Stalkers now coming in, more Zealots coming in from that backhand side, and I am in fact gonna go ahead and take this just because of this Proxy Pylon sitting on this high ground. Warping in more units, 2 more Zealots now being warped in. Taking a look at these gateways, I still have 2 more, and Jaf then goes ahead and leaves the game. So thanks for watching, thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed the use of the Proxy Pylon here on Scrap Station.